Hello and welcome to Comfort Legacies with Fay Michelle. Today we have a beautiful guest, Yulie, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. Go ahead.
Hi, Fay Michelle, and thank you for having me here. My name is Yulie Archontaki. I'm originally from Greece. I moved to the States about 8 years ago to follow my dream. I came here and I did a master's in physical theater. And before that, I was an architect and a dancer back in Greece. But since I finished my master's, I moved to Los Angeles and I have been living and working here since then. So I was doing a lot of theater and I was also teaching. I'm teaching all grades from pre-K to K to 12, and I'm teaching theater. I'm also teaching Greek and a combination of these two.
Okay. So how did the architects fit in?
Well, it happened, when I was young. Like it was something, I've always liked to draw and create things. So it just happened. I studied architecture, and actually I studied architecture in England, and then I worked a little bit on it. I worked freelance, but I worked as an employee as well. And then I started discovering other things.
Okay.
Yeah, I like a lot to have a lot of hats, as we say.
Okay. All right.
Accordingly.
All righty. The Jane of all trades, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when did your journey begin on book writing, storytelling?
Storytelling. So, I have been doing a lot of storytelling through theater, and I was also doing puppetry. And since I started teaching, I found that puppetry is really a helpful means. Actually, I'll share something that I have right with me, which I share with the kids. This is my little friend. So puppets are a great way to tell stories and to actually teach. So this is how it started. And experimenting with puppets, and I saw that, kids were responding really well, and it's a nice way for them to learn. It's a nice way for them to respond, to start, having conversations, do all of that stuff. So, like progressively, slowly, things just happened. I started writing my own stories, like we were rehearsing with them, with the kids. And I also adapted and directed theater plays for kids before COVID, like when we actually were in theaters. And since COVID happened, I had to find another way to communicate that, to get all the all the energy out and all the inspiration. So storytelling and fairy tales started happening.
Okay. So when did you publish your book?
I published it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
A
okay.
couple of weeks ago, yeah, on Amazon. I started writing it back in October, but I also did the illustration, so it took a while. The story was the story took me about a week to figure out and see what I wanted to say and how. Edited, all of that. But then most of the time it was the illustrations, because I like the title is The King Special Spice, and I put a lot of effort in creating the king. Like the
Okay.
king was someone that I had to draw and edit and redraw and edit and edit. But this was what took more of the time, for it to happen, because also it had to be that the text corresponds to the image, and I had to figure out what's the best way to convey the meaning, even if someone doesn't really read Greek or English, but seeing the image, what do they understand? Because it's for kids. I
Right.
always try to find ways that go beyond language. You know,
Oh,
English is not my first language, so I use that language.
okay. Okay, that's awesome. So you did all of your illustrations yourself. Did you format the book yourself as well?
No, I had my cousin who lives in Greece and she's a graphic designer. And
Ah,
I actually asked her to do it because that's a skill I don't own yet.
okay, okay. And so you uploaded it to Kindle. I mean, not to
Yeah,
Kindle, but Amazon.
Amazon, yes, yeah.
Amazon. So what size is your book?
So it's 8.5 by 11.
Oh, okay. All right. It's a
Yeah,
pretty big book.
this is the cover. It's the
Yes,
King's
it's
Special
beautiful.
Size, and it's also it has a title in Greek because it's bilingual. So in every
Oh,
page you have the Greek text and you have the English text. It also,
oh, okay. Can
yeah,
you flip through the pages
of
for
course,
me?
yeah, of course, of course. Let's start with. And these are the very first pages, the thank you notes to everyone who helped and
Okay.
everyone who gave inspiration. Okay, so for instance, these are the first two pages.
Yes.
So here is our king, and this is how the story starts. It says, this is the Greek text, and down here
Is
is
English.
the English text. So in every page, it's formatted in almost like that. But yeah, that's pretty much the idea that someone can read the Greek text and then read the English, and it's
Oh,
especially for my students. Most of them are second generation Greek Americans, so
okay.
they want to learn Greek.
They
So
want to learn Greek.
yeah, that's a way to do it. So
That's
here,
great. That's great. Flip. Go ahead. Flip the
yeah,
page.
yeah.
Oh, I love the graphics. Oh man. So you hand
Mhm.
did all of the graphics, or did you
Yeah,
use the
it's a
photos?
combination. So it's hand drawing with collage and
Okay.
watercolor. Like it's a mixed technique. Like I have done,
Okay.
yeah. So this is another one which was
Oh, yeah.
mostly, but this one was watercolor and collage.
Okay. All right. Oh, it looks beautiful. So, is this your first book?
Yeah, this is my first children's book. I,
First children's book.
yeah, I have another one on Amazon. That's on Amazon as well, but it touches other issues. It's for adults. It's a different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, I'm so happy for this because it's my first children's book. It's something that I really love. I love kids. I love being around them, teaching
Okay.
them. I learned so much from them, and yeah, that's pretty much how it is.
Okay. So now you showed me a puppet. Is
Yeah.
the puppet related to the story, or how do you get the puppets involved?
So the puppets, I use the puppets when I teach.
Mhm.
So I started. I started years ago, but ever since we went on Zoom, I found that this is a very helpful way because when kids are really young, like I teach 4 year olds, and with
Oh, okay.
4 year olds, it's difficult to maintain their attention, and especially when you're on Zoom. So I had to incorporate these techniques. So it's not only me here. Oh, someone wants to talk to you. Say hi.
Hi,
Right?
right. Okay. And so you're teaching Greek to the 4-year-olds.
Yeah, Greek, and also,
Oh,
yeah, and I also use theater techniques. So yeah,
oh, okay. I thought your audience was an older group, but so you teach children, or do you do both?
I do both. Yeah, I teach from pre-K up to adults. I used to be right before COVID. I was a part-time faculty at Wild Arts Academy, and I was
Okay.
teaching theater to high school kids.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Wow. Well, that's innovative. And and how long did it take you to get it started? Because once we got into COVID, it was a little bit of a lag,
Yeah.
and Zoom it was always there, but it wasn't as readily
Yeah.
available or user friendly.
Uh-huh.
So how long did it take you to get started
So
on your
for
classes?
that's a very good question. So what happened is that all of us teachers, we had to move from real time to Zoom in 2 weeks. We just had to do it. So we slowly started figuring it out, but we only had 2 weeks to get started, and then, but however, like a month later, I found that it was, I started getting the hang of it, so it wasn't that
Mhm.
difficult. It was the first 2 weeks where everybody was, oh, what are we doing? Like, we
Yes.
didn't even know how to press the buttons. Like, what's happening?
Yes, exactly. That's what I say. I spend all day pressing buttons. Do you press the right one or the wrong? You click a button, you click it wrong, or it could hang you up all day just by
Yeah. And
clicking a button
yeah,
incorrectly.
especially when like we had codes, because we were told that we had to have pin, codes for, and something was always wrong with the codes, and then people couldn't come in, and then it was texting, oh, what's the code, oh, let me find out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, for the purpose of this platform, we
Hmm.
kind of help to educate the community on how to self-publish. So you wrote your story, you did your illustrations, and you set your text to your illustrations, but then you sent it to your sister to do the formatting, or
Yeah.
your relative to do the formatting.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah.
yeah, so she did the formatting. Like, I told her, okay, we need this illustration there, and then the text over here. But she was the one who actually put it on, did the graphic work, put it on the page. Um, yeah,
Okay.
what I have to say to everyone is this: when I decided that this would be the dimension, uh,
Yes.
what I didn't think of was the fact that I wanted all of my illustrations to bleed, which means,
Okay.
that they wouldn't have a border, but they would go beyond. So,
Right.
and this is what happened. Like, I set the size on this, but actually, I realized that when we publish on Amazon, we have to specifically look at the bleed dimensions because they are different. So
Right.
after we did all the work, and right before, like, I was, ready to upload I got an error message. Hey, this is not the right size. So we had to redo the whole thing again. So just telling everyone, if you decide that your illustrations need to bleed, look at that first.
Yeah. So how did you make that correction? Because I'm dealing with something like that right now. How did you make the correction?
So it was actually my sister who was the graphic designer.
So she had to do all of the graphics all over again?
Actually, yeah. I mean, not all over again, but she had to. I understand that she had to kind of stretch it,
Right.
because it was a slightly bigger. There were bigger, like some inches, slightly
Yeah.
bigger. So she had to stretch it somehow. But the
Yes.
good thing about it, and as she told me, is that it's better because it has spread more. Like, the letters are bigger, the drawings are better. So
Yes. So yes, I understand that. I have the same size book. I didn't have the trouble with this one, but I'm having one right now that they just can't seem to get it together. It's a
mhm.
what is this? An activity book.
Uh-huh.
But and it has just all kinds of little activities in there for kids, puzzles and
Mhm.
mazes and things like that, and products. I mean,
Yeah.
projects that we did during the summer,
Mhm.
summer little science projects. You
Mhm.
know, so I didn't have any trouble with this one at all. Went through fine. It was color. It's exact same size as yours, and but the new one that's coming, it's like and it's black and white, and I'm having a lot of trouble with I don't know what it is. It's just keep coming up error. So I've been sending it back to the formatter, and they're frustrated, and I was like, well, I don't know what else to tell you. So, and with it being black and white,
Mm-hmm.
It's just it was colored, but it just has, some black and white images. So we'll see. So that's why I asked, how did they work that out,
But
And yeah.
every time I've gotten an error, I would press on it, and there would be an explanation
For each era.
for each
Each
error.
page.
Yeah. I also
Mm.
for this, I got two errors. One was the major one, that the dimension is different, and
Right.
the other one was on in one of the pages. They told me that the text was going beyond the image.
Yes, yes.
Actually, when I went really, really close, what happened is that one of these question marks was hitting right on the border.
Right on the preparation line.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just so used to them formatting it properly until I just said, oh, well, it'll be all right. But sometimes Amazon can be really, really finicky, even though it pops in and does a really great job, but
yeah,
it can come back error. So yeah, I guess out of the 7 books, two I'm having a little trouble with.
yeah.
So yeah.
But,
So,
but
but
yeah,
that's otherwise it's pretty good. Yeah.
uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. The truth is that I had to read a lot. Like every time I encountered an error, I had to go through, every single thing, because
Yeah.
there's no one really to talk. I mean, actually, no. A couple of times I have sent emails that they got back to me really quick.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, and I said, okay, I'm getting an error here, but I'm not able to see it. What is it about? And that was not for that book. That was for the other one that I had written. But they get back pretty fast.
Pretty fast. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's hopeful. I just like to send it off to somebody else and say it's not working. Fix it. Fix it. Fix it. That's awesome. So now, what about your students? Are they how are they enjoying the creativity of your book?
What I'm planning to do with this, because what we did is we did a first read, or at least some of the pages. But what I'm planning to do with this is to actually do it with puppets. Uh,
Oh,
I'm not sure yet how, but I have an idea, because it's talking about spice, and it's a lot about cooking. And I mean, the main characters are the king and the cook. I think that I will possibly get kitchen items, um, a ladle or anything. I'll see what I find and put a pair of eyes in it, and then just play around with that. And maybe I'll ask them to get something similar, and
ah,
might start, playing the story and see how
yes,
it goes.
yes. Yes,
Because,
I was just wondering how they enjoyed the book, or are parents supportive of getting the book and all of that. In
yeah.
as far as marketing, I guess I'm moving into marketing. How are you marketing your book?
So this is one of the things, like, Amazon is great when, like, I decided to do my book and get it out there. So, and it's fast. Like, it's everything is up to me. There are no in between people. But
Right.
the marketing part is also something that I have to do. So yeah, but in my case, I can say that the parents were really supportive, and the schools were really supportive. Like they all spread the word. Like many people bought it, and I'm looking forward to doing more with this. I'm looking forward, to puppet shows. When we actually get in class, I
Oh.
will do a theater play. We'll see how
Ah,
it goes.
that's awesome. That is really great. So the sales are going well. You're marketing it at least as best as you can online and whatnot. Do you plan on going to perhaps book fairs or anything like that later?
Maybe, yeah. Actually, I haven't thought of that, but yes, because
Yeah.
it's my first children's book, so I'm not really sure how
Yes.
to, I'm just learning
Well,
how.
you're in theater and you're close. You're close to. Well, you're in California, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So you're on the West Coast. So I have some ideas about that. And you're in theater too. That just makes it all the better. It's just so exciting. And I was on this week with a storyteller. She's a fairy, and she dresses up like a fairy, and she tells the stories, and any books that you have, she'll take and incorporate them into her platform where she's reading to kids online, and she has a huge podcast as well. So yeah, that's something to think about. And this is what, this is all about. If there's something that we can do, what is it that you would say that you needed, as far as helping with your book? Is there anything that you haven't been able to figure out?
Not yet, because see, yeah, but this is a good idea. Like, I'm still learning how to, and what is the next step? I'm not
Yes.
sure what the next step is,
What the
because
next?
it was very, very satisfying when it got published, and then people actually really supported me and bought it. And yes, my audience primarily would be Greek American kids, but not necessarily.
Right. Because a lot of kids would probably benefit from that. And what about libraries? Have you considered trying to get them in the libraries?
Yeah, I should do that. I haven't, but that's something that I should do as well. Yeah,
Mhm.
the library. And you know what I'm thinking, Faye? So maybe I should actually create a version which is all English.
Mm.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think that it has English, and both English speaking students can appreciate having that duality, and with Greek and English. And I mean, I think that's a big sell. That's why I asked for sure, whether or not you would consider trying to get it in a library, because that's a great thing, And so, well, tell me, I know your family and friends are supportive. You said you sold a lot of books, and I think you hit on this a little bit, but what did it feel like when you got the book in the mail?
Oh, wow. Yes. I was waiting for it. Like yes. Like, this is mine. Yes. It's so satisfying, because all of that we see digitally. Like, I was so used to looking at it on a PDF format, and then, edit it, and then PDF, and then suddenly it's real. It's real. You know what I did? I posed in front of the phone, with a selfie, and then I put it on Facebook. Say, my book is finally here.
You did a book face selfie. That's right. That is awesome. Well, that is so great. Now, another question. Doing it yourself like that, and doing it, what would you say your total expenses were for coming up with your book? Because you did so much of the work yourself.
Yeah. So practically, my expenses just to create that were minimal, because I did the whole thing by myself.
Wow.
And I paid for my cousin. I paid, like, for her work, because it was a lot of work. But I wouldn't, especially if someone does the work themselves. And if someone knows, I mean, for this specific format, it's a graphic designer is needed. But like the other book I did, which was plain images, texts, I had zero expenses.
Wow.
Other than my time in front of the computer, or my time drawing, like, zero expenses.
So that's the point that's being made here, is that sometimes people think, they go to literary agencies, and some go to hybrids, they go to different ones. Some will go to just producing their books through a printing agency, where they do all the work and then they send the prints out and stuff like that. So I think that's where you kind of fall, and that's a hard copy, right?
It's a hard copy, yeah.
So, and you're in California. Where did you get your books printed?
It's Amazon.
Oh, but Amazon does not do hard copies.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you have. Oh, okay, you have paperback.
Yeah, paperback. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. It looked like a hard copy. Okay, because like Ingram Sparks or some of the other Lulus, they do hard copy.
Uh-huh.
So you just did it like everybody else, printed it, and it's print on demand.
Yeah,
Okay,
print on demand.
yeah,
Yes.
print on demand. So yes, excellent, excellent. All right, well that says it all. Um, and you enjoyed the it was very gratifying to get that copy of the book, and now you can share with the kids and include it in your puppeteering.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I want to give you a little bit of a tip.
Mm-hmm.
One thing else, one other thing is when you get back to school, right? If
Mm-hmm.
one of the other authors did a really awesome kickoff. Did you have a book launch?
Mm-mm. No, no,
You didn't
no.
have a book because it was mostly online and things like that, right? So she did one. They had a book off, and she actually went to a Christmas fair.
Uh-huh. I see.
And she said she sold almost maybe 150 books that day, but throughout that day or whatnot during that time frame, she sold over 900 books.
Mm.
And that was really good because it was a good time. She's from Canada.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it was a good time. So she participated in the fair and lots of people came. And it was just a very successful launch and whatever. And I just think that you have a great, great book. And something like that would just be awesome, especially when you're doing the puppets and everything. And
Mhm.
fairs would just be a wonderful tip for you to
Yeah.
participate in and
Yeah,
get
that's a
ready.
great idea. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to normal, actually.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, somebody else said they were moving. But okay, well, I am going to wrap it up with you. Thank you so much for being our guest, and I appreciate you coming on and all that you have attributed to the conversation of helping to self-publish. So, are there any last words that you would give to an aspiring author?
Yeah, of course. Go for it. Go for it. Like whatever it is, like get your work out there, get your vision out there. There is someone who needs to hear it. There is someone who needs to see it. Never, never ever hold back on a vision. Never.
All
Like,
right.
yeah.
All righty. That is awesome. Well, then, with that being said, we're going to say goodbye and hope that you come back again when you do your third book. Okay.
Absolutely. It's on the works. It's
It's in the works, huh?
it's
Okay. All right.